Hello everyone, welcome to the Animeverse Hubs. Don't forget to subscribe to help us reach our 10,000 subscribers milestone. Now, back to the story. Here I'll share spoilers for Swallowed Star episode 193 part 1 to part 3. Remember, this is based on the novel, so it won't be 100% similar to the Donghua version. Without further ado, let's dive right into the story. After King Cang Jin thrust his spear deep into Qiu Chi Ka's stomach, the Yanji race leader made a decision that would change everything. He deliberately unleashed all the energy stored within his powerful immortal body. This wasn't just any explosion. It was equivalent to the combined devastating attacks of millions of world masters, all compressed into the narrow confines of the treasure room. The intruders had nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. They had to defend themselves with everything they had or face certain death. Luo Feng managed to survive this incredible blast, though barely. Thanks to his protective wings and special armor, he lived through the explosion even though a staggering 80% of his divine body was completely destroyed. Meanwhile, King Cang Jin, who possessed remarkable regenerative powers, stood with a cold, emotionless expression after his body was utterly annihilated and then regenerated. In the control room of the ancient tower, 3 remaining members of the Yanji race, Pupuyamerin, Menbu, and Ladim Mo, watched their beloved leader's heroic death with tears streaming down their faces. They listened carefully to Qiu Chi Ka's final message, where he explained that this wasn't an escape from their duty, but rather complete satisfaction in fulfilling it. After ensuring the absolute safety of their tribe's precious legacy, he predicted that the wounded intruders would teleport away to safety, giving his 3 chosen successors the perfect opportunity to retrieve the remaining treasure chest and destroy the entrance to prevent any future intrusions. With this ultimate sacrifice, Qiu Chi Ka could finally rest in peace, knowing he had secured the future of his nearly extinct tribe. After witnessing the heroic death of Qiu Chi Ka, the 3 remaining members of the Yanji race swore a solemn oath to continue the fight and ensure their leader's sacrifice wouldn't be in vain. They carefully monitored the chaotic situation in the treasure room through their advanced projection system, patiently waiting for the right moment when the intruders would teleport out so they could safely retrieve the remaining treasures. Puma explained to his companions that in addition to the main treasure room containing countless valuable items, there was also a separate inheritance room that stored their tribe's most precious secret techniques, knowledge collected and refined over thousands of years of their civilization's development. Inside the locked treasure room, the atmosphere became incredibly tense after the massive explosion. King Piercing Tiger suffered severe injuries with more than 50% of his divine body completely destroyed, while King Purple Clock appeared mysteriously unharmed, which immediately made King Cang Jin deeply suspicious of his true defensive capabilities. Luo Feng managed to survive the devastating blast thanks to his special defensive treasures, but his condition was significantly weakened. King Cang Jin, who possessed incredible regenerative powers, remained in prime fighting condition and began questioning King Purple Clock's suspicious ability to survive such a massive explosion without even a scratch. The desperate intruders then attempted to open the ancient treasure chest that was bound by 12 mystical chains. All their attempts failed miserably. King Cang Jin tried using pure brute force, hammering at the chest with all his might. King Purple Clock attempted to use his special techniques and secret methods. Even Luo Feng and King Piercing Tiger gave it their best efforts, but the chest remained tightly sealed, as if mocking their futile attempts. Meanwhile, back in the control room, the 3 members of the Yanji race watched with grim satisfaction and mocked the intruders' desperate efforts. They were completely confident that their most precious treasures would never be taken by these enemies who had invaded their sacred space. When all conventional attempts to open the treasure chest failed completely, King Cang Jin began to show his true ruthless colors. He coldly ordered the other 3 intruders to teleport out of the tower first, claiming he would follow afterward. However, they immediately refused his demand because they were terrified that King Cang Jin would simply follow them to their destinations and then systematically destroy them to eliminate all witnesses. Sensing the growing threat, King Purple Clock, King Piercing Tiger, and Luo Feng formed an impromptu alliance against the much stronger and more dangerous King Cang Jin. King Purple Clock threatened to record everything that was happening as evidence of King Cang Jin's treachery, but King Cang Jin just laughed mockingly. He revealed that the ancient tower's mystical properties blocked all external signals. And furthermore, he possessed the ability to manipulate light and sound to avoid being recorded by any conventional means. The situation reached a dangerous boiling point when King Cang Jin openly threatened to kill the other three immortal kings one by one to seize all their accumulated wealth as compensation for not being able to obtain the treasures locked away in this room. He arrogantly underestimated the severely injured King Piercing Tiger, but he still considered Luo Feng and King Purple Clock to be potential threats due to their extraordinary survival abilities that they had demonstrated during the explosion. Feeling completely cornered and with no other options remaining, King Purple Clock was finally forced to reveal his last desperate weapon. He took out a black crystal that emitted absolutely terrifying energy, threatening to destroy everything and everyone in the room if King Cang Jin continued to press his overwhelming advantage. The cramped treasure room now transformed into a life-and-death battle arena for the trapped immortal kings, with tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. The tension in the treasure room reached its absolute climax when King Purple Clock unleashed his ultimate trump card, an AA-12 type Fire God origin crystal. Luo Feng immediately recognized that this crystal was far more powerful than the one he had previously purchased for 800 million points. This particular crystal was possibly worth more than 1 billion points due to its incredible explosive power, which was equivalent to the combined might of 3 peak immortal kings attacking simultaneously. King Cang Jin just laughed with cold mockery because he already knew all about King Purple Clock's famous trump card. This weapon had been used many times before to scare opponents into submission and help Purple Clock survive seemingly impossible situations. Even though King Cang Jin admitted that the crystal could potentially damage 5 to 10% of his divine body in this confined space, he remained completely confident that this threat alone wasn't nearly enough to kill someone of his caliber. King Cang Jin made the calculated decision to kill Luo Feng first, reasoning that he would be much easier to deal with than King Purple Clock, who possessed such dangerous and unpredictable weapons. The situation reached a point of absolutely no return when King Cang Jin began to burn his own divine body to launch a deadly, all-out attack. This desperate move forced the 3 weaker immortal kings to give everything they had in what would surely be their final battle. King Piercing Tiger, who was already severely wounded from the earlier explosion, made the ultimate sacrifice. He desperately burned his entire divine body in a suicide explosion that produced only 20 to 30% of Qiu Chi Ka's earlier explosive power. Although King Cang Jin was slightly shaken by this desperate attack, he wasn't significantly injured and considered King Piercing Tiger's noble sacrifice to be ultimately a futile act. King Purple Clock then mocked Luo Feng for lacking a substantial divine body to burn like the others had done. Yet despite this limitation, Luo Feng still chose to use what he considered to be his final, most powerful weapon. The biggest surprise of the entire battle came when King Purple Clock revealed his true treasure, an ancient purple clock covered in mysterious, intricate engravings. This was a genuine treasure far more powerful and valuable than anything Luo Feng had ever seen before in his entire life. The mystical clock suddenly expanded with incredible speed, growing until it engulfed the entire room with a massive diameters of 16 meters. It trapped both King Cang Jin and Luo Feng inside its mystical space with absolutely no means of escape whatsoever. King Purple Clock finally revealed the truth. He had been carefully hiding his real power all this time. It was this ancient mystical clock that had previously killed 2 peak immortal kings and 1 border immortal king in past battles, establishing his fearsome reputation across the universe. In a final, incredibly cunning move that demonstrated his tactical brilliance, King Purple Clock placed the Fire God Origin Crystal A812 inside the ancient clock's mystical space before detonating it. The deadly combination of the ancient clock's incredible power to focus and amplify explosions, combined with the crystal's raw power equivalent to 3 peak immortal kings, created an attack that could increase in devastating force by 10 times. Even King Cang Jin, who was a powerful limit immortal king with incredible defensive capabilities, would have serious difficulty surviving this precisely focused attack unless he possessed heavenly armor or defensive treasures equivalent in power to the ancient clock itself. King Purple Clock smiled with smug satisfaction, already imagining the incredible riches he would obtain after killing his two remaining opponents, including Luo Feng's mysterious defensive treasure that had intrigued and puzzled him throughout this entire ordeal. While these fierce, deadly battles raged with incredible intensity in the treasure room below, the three remaining members of the Yanji race in the control room, Poopers, Ladim Mo, and Menbu, watched everything unfold with a mixture of deep satisfaction and burning hatred that had been building for years. They shouted loud encouragement for the immortal kings to kill each other in the most brutal ways possible, considering all members of other races to be natural enemies who had systematically destroyed their once great civilization. To their perspective, these four peak races that had created this battlefield in their former territory were exactly like powerful lions who build an arena for their entertainment by completely destroying the peaceful homes of innocent rabbits who had lived there first. What happens next in this deadly confrontation? Will anyone survive the incredible explosion that's about to occur? Find out in part 2 coming next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss the continuation of this epic battle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.